All right, guys, welcome back to the Healthy Swag Podcast. We are so delighted to have a special guest with us today, David Trofort. Man, he is the author of a new book entitled Eat, Pray, Run, a food, faith, and fitness guide for new and renewed runners. And man, I'm excited to have you on, David. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. Greetings, gentlemen.
Hello,
Now,
hello.
I have to admit something that I didn't know who you were before I saw you show up on my Instagram feed. And I'm
That's
almost embarrassed
perfectly
because
okay.
we run through similar circles, and I'm like, man, this guy came out with this book. It looks great. He's I like the holistic approach that he's taking, and so I asked, I said, man, this guy would be great on the podcast, and so I asked the fellas, like, hey. I'm thinking about having this guy David Trofort on, and they were like, "Oh yeah, okay, yeah, he's a great guy." And I'm like, "Oh man!" So then I did some more research with my wife, and she kind of filled me in a little bit. So man, so just like me, there may be some other people that don't really know who you are, and I'll just read briefly what's
Just a
in your.
regular guy, man. Just a regular.
No, don't downplay it, man. Dedicated husband, father, musician, running enthusiast. And you've taught in the Atlanta public school system for 20 years.
Yeah, yeah.
You don't look that old. You're a health advocate, motivational speaker, and you just love helping others and joyously promote fitness and faith. So, David, the floor is yours, man. Tell us about yourself and why you decided to write this book.
Well, first of all, thank you for having me on, Dr. Baptiste. It's a pleasure to meet you officially.
Oh man, come on now. So first of all, I have to chime in here real quick. So when Q asked the question, he said, "Do you know David? Do you know this person who wrote Eat, Pray, and Run?" And so I had to do a quick little search. I was like, "Oh, David Trofort." I was like, "Oh, that's the man." So I told my wife, I said, "He don't know me, but I know him. Of course, everybody knows him." And then of course Isaac, the man who knows everybody, was like, "Yeah, no, I know him. He's good. He's a good dude. He's good people. Good people."
Thank you, Isaac.
So,
Yeah.
so I'm appreciative that you even know my name outside of kind of reading it there. But I usually folks from Atlanta go say that I'm Lala's husband, but that's
Uh-huh. And this is true. I won't even. I know you through your wife.
That's right. That's right.
But yeah, no. So let me see. Where do I start? Let me go back a little bit. So I went to undergrad as a ministerial theology student. Many people don't know that. And I studied theology for 3 years. I took Greek and passed, but God had some other plans. That's really the long and short of that. So I moved into elementary education. And it was 2009 that I tore my ACL just from years of wear and tear. All right. I was right around 37, 38. And, tearing your ACL is major, like, orthopedic surgeon, hamstring replacement. I was like, wait a minute, is this the end of the road? And of course, I just wasn't going to go out like that. So after almost 2 years of physical therapy, I started just kind of getting on the treadmill. And of course, I loved running. I loved fitness, as most of us did, just playing with your boys, basketball, sports, tennis, soccer, whatever it is. So I started running. And of course, it was probably 2011. I got on that treadmill and a mile was about 16 minutes. And it hurt, even with the physical therapy. That left knee was just still sore. It was just tight. There was still a little bit of swelling, even 2 years post surgery. But 1 mile turned into 2, 2 miles turned into 3. And this is over time. And 2018, I ran my first marathon.
Wow.
Yeah. So how old was I? I was 47. I was 47 when I ran my first marathon.
That is
subsequently, my 5-year-old was born in 2018, that same year. I ran it in Chicago, Isaac. I ran the Chicago Marathon.
All right.
It was relatively flat. It was one of the flatter marathons in the country. So I said, okay, things are feeling good health wise. And of course, as you run, you burn a lot of calories, and you fall in love with results. I realized that my belly was going down, and you know, I've been relatively the same size most of my life. I'm right at 169, 170, and I don't think I've vacillated no more than 5 to 6 pounds. But I started posting on social media that, hey, listen, you know, I'm running and you can run too, and I'm falling in love with this thing, and it's become addictive, and I got the runner's high and all that. And it was Dr. Myron Edmonds who said, listen, bro, you should write a book. I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, I'm just an enthusiast, you know. I don't have the credentials, yada, yada. He said, no, man, what you've been posting, people are inspired by that, and you should consider. And so I started writing that same year, 2018, started writing. And of course, the catch title, Eat, Pray, Love, was in my mind. I had never seen the movie until last year, December, which I think is a great movie. If you haven't seen it, Eat, Pray, Love. But I was like, wait a minute, I love God. I love to eat. And I'm now in love with, you know, running. I'm an enthusiast. And so why not eat, pray, run? And so that kind of was where the title came from. To be honest, I think all of us love to eat. You know, it's really it's not certain people. We all love to eat. We eat. Am I right? Can I get an
for sure. Yes.
Yeah, like, you know, and especially in our 40s, myself, I'm in my 50s now, loving to eat. It's like, wait a minute, things are different. Metabolism has slowed down. So if you're gonna eat whatever you want, Dave, and I don't eat everything that I want, I've become a vegetarian since October. No chicken, no beef, which is it's been a challenge, but salmon, wild caught salmon, has been the bridge. And I say that, and I thank God for fish. Of course, so we call that pescatarian, as you guys know. But I've fallen in love with the results. And so now I'm kind of like on a disciplined regime where I'm running 60 to 70 miles a week.
Goodness,
because I enjoy it, not so that I can post. It just, I feel good about it. And it allows me to eat, and it also burns those calories considering the metabolism has slowed down. So that's just a little bit of where the idea for writing Eat, Pray, Run came from.
Very good. I don't get you runners, man. Like, I think Columbus, you run too?
Nah.
Oh, you don't run? Okay.
Just a little bit.
Okay, Isaac,
well,
you don't.
No
you
one's
don't
going to say they run after what we just heard.
Not like that. I hate running.
In case I heard it wrong, how many miles a week?
70.
70. Okay. All right.
So he's on the
David
You know what?
I'm sorry. I apologize. Please, everybody, forgive me. It's getting late, and I am 52. 70 miles a month. That's
okay.
month.
All right.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Still impressive.
Very impressive.
That's 2 miles a day. That's a little over 2 miles a day.
We're talking 3 to 5 miles a week, maybe. And of course, I'm not running every day, but I'm trying to get in at least 20 to 30 miles a week. Yeah.
Okay. All right. I was never at that level. I did at one point consider myself a runner, never at that level, but I do enjoy it very much. I enjoy running. Yeah.
I never understood this whole runner's high thing. Like, I just did not see the beauty or the benefit. I never got that. All I got was shin splits, and like that just killed me, man. I'm like, what am I doing wrong? You know, because I hurt when I run. Like, it doesn't feel good. Like, so
what hurts? Wait. What hurts?
My shins, like, they just start burning. Like, I can't, like, yeah, it's hard to lift my legs up after a while. It's just like, really, it's not fun for me, you know. And I don't know if it's the wrong shoe, if my technique is wrong, but I've never, you know, I try to do some of these like turkey trot things, and I'll do some of those, but like the half or marathon, that's insane, man. I like, hats off to you. I'm sure you're like all torn up after that, because that's not natural.
So when you reach a certain threshold, or when you've run a certain, I won't say a certain number of miles, but when you just kind of get into the rhythm of running, you don't hurt anymore. Somebody was just saying to me, Dave, you know, what do you think is going to be what are your knees are going to be like in the next 10 years? I'm like, my knees are fine. As a matter of fact, I feel I have more knee pain when I don't run. It's almost like the body is just like, listen, this is not normal when you're in that sedentary space. And so when I'm running and when I'm moving, it's really, it's just energetic. It's energetic. It could be, Dr. Q, that it could be a couple of things. It could be consistency. It could be your gear. It could be your running shoes. And it could be your pace. You know, I don't know if you're running at an 8-mile pace, a 10-mile pace. 10-minute pace, 12-minute pace. It depends on a lot of variables are.
So if it's a slower pace, does it hurt more?
No, it would hurt less. It would be equivalent. It would be equivalent to walking. Consider you walking. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things that I see, the reason why I don't run as much is because I'm horrible at something that I know is the most beneficial thing that we can do, which is stretching. Right. So stretching does so much for the body. And so when we get out there and you start running or doing whatever, it's comparable to taking some animal protein, let's say like that, out the freezer and with saran wrap on it and just expecting it to kind of be malleable. It's not. It's going to crack. It's going to cause issues that are there right there. So many of us get out and we start doing it. And then the old adage of the older I get, the better I was. And we start kind of remembering that we should be faster, stronger than what we probably currently should be trying to do right now.
You know, for me, is I enjoy running because I'm impatient. I should be walking. A lot of people say you should. Walking is 90% the benefit of running.
Yeah,
some astronomical.
You are right, buddy.
And the older I get, probably my joints should have me walking. But I start walking and I'm just so impatient. It's boring, and I'd rather be running. I'd rather be running. You know, a jog at least. So, you know, when you talked about that high when I was running, and I am going to get back to it. For me, it was that wall at the 2-mile mark. If I could break through 2 miles, I felt like I could go forever. You just stop feeling your legs, and now you're feeling the air, you're feeling the environment, and I'm just gone. And that was the high for me. That those miles, mile 3, mile 4, mile 5 was beautiful.
Wow.
You know, what I would chime in and say is that, you know, I think one of the things that contributes to the runner's high, without me being a runner, and and we can get all scientific with endorphins and so forth, but even just basic fundamental stuff, is you're running typically outdoors. Many runners run outdoors. So that means you're in the environment, you're getting the sunlight, which is causing a benefit. You may be in nature. So it's an iteration of that forest bathing. So it lowers your stress hormones. So although in the act of running raises your stress hormone state, it's actually priming you to be able to better deal with stress. And then when you're running in nature, that also lowers your stress. And so you come out of that just rejuvenated from the standpoint of being outdoors. And so there's so much from that communion that starts to happen in nature. That's there from God's nature that he created, and the power that comes along with that.
Yeah, I was going to ask David, why did you start running? So you talked about it was recovery, but once you got into your groove, what benefit were you getting? Was it physical strength or was it mental strength?
No, it was not. It was not physical at all. As a matter of fact, I'd love to talk about strength conditioning as well, and I talked about it just a little bit in the book, but. To be very honest, I fell in love with running because I'm a freaking fat guy up under all. You guys just don't know it, but like I eat a lot. Like I may be, I shouldn't say maybe. I spent years as a glutton, and gluttons, we eat socially, we eat when we're depressed, we eat to feel better about life. We eat food makes us feel better. I mean, you know, I may not be taking, you know, the drugs of society, but I'm certainly doping up by eating certain things and quantities of it, which, you know, you all know, we have the itis. You guys are very familiar with these phrases. That's common because that's how we medicate, or that's how a lot of African American brothers are medicating I mean, you know, some folk drink, you know, some folk do other things. There's a million things that people do, but I love to eat. And I've realized that if I didn't start burning some of those calories, this is my mantra. My mantra is, if you're not burning calories when you're eating, you're putting on calories that your body is going to store. Mm-hmm. And that's really where, you know, people who are obese, fat, let's just be honest. It's like, hey, you're not burning more than you're storing. And so I know that running 1 mile is what? 100 calories, which is nothing. That's half of a what are you, Krispy Kreme donut? Half of a donut, and a half of a donut.
I don't even think that.
Right. I think it's like 300. It might be a Krispy Kreme donut is like 300, 350 calories.
At least so, yes.
So consider this. And I run 10 miles on occasion. I don't do it every week, but on the weekends, you know, runners do their longer miles on the weekends. So 10 miles only equates, gentlemen, to about 1,000 calories. But think about what you eat in a day. Your daily meal is somewhere around 2,000 to 3,500 calories. That's just one of your meals. And we're talking about folks who eat 3 times a day. Mm-hmm. So I've realized that burning those calories was going to help mitigate, you know, me storing all of that fat. And of course, we know sugar turns into fat. So I'm like, okay, the more I run, the more I can eat. Is really okay. And so I tried to, you know, balance that ratio and do more running, do more exercising, being more active. That's going to bring down the calories. It's going to bring down my waist. I'm wearing a 31 comfortably right now. I'm a 31. Nice. And
so why did you become pescatarian? That's what I want to know.
So there are a couple of reasons.
You're laughing at me. I can't ever hold back on the food stuff.
No, man, because you're all in. So
I thought I would try letting go of meat to see if it would mitigate the calories. Of course, we know that chicken and beef are protein. They're protein rich. So I'm not eating a lot of fatty foods. I'm not big on, you know, the muffins and I'll knock out a chocolate almond from Publix. I will knock out 2, 3, 4, 5 scoops of that. That's one of my favorite. But I tried the vegetarian diet because I know that the meat is not the best quality. I'm being fully transparent. I know that most of our meat in the restaurants are genetically modified. I also know that it kind of stays in your system a lot longer than your plant-based. I've been in love with dark green leafy vegetables probably for the last 10, 15 years. So I can eat a salad for breakfast. That's how much I love that. We're talking power greens. We're not talking about that really bright
iceberg.
Yeah, even the romaine that they serve in some of the restaurants, they're serving you the bottom of the romaine, the head. And I'm like, you know what? I can just go buy a $6 tub of power greens, get me some balsamic vinaigrette, and throw me a 6-ounce salmon, and I feel good. So I'm really transitioning from not being such a glutton, to be very honest. I still like to eat, but I'm not eating the quantities that I used to eat, because at the end of the day, if I want to mitigate, I definitely have to make sure I'm burning more calories and eating less. And then that would be a great segue into intermittent fasting, but I don't want to push that.
Well, I did want to follow up on one of Columbus's questions at the end there. He said, why'd you do fish? And I was wondering if that was sort of a way to transition over. Like,
it was only for transition purpose. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. The ideal diet is going to be plant-based exclusively, nothing that had a mom. Yeah. But I knew that it was going to be difficult because I love hot wings. I love cheeseburgers, bro. Come on.
Yeah. Come on now.
All of that every day. I love French fries. Come on.
Yeah.
I love that sugar ketchup. Ketchup is just sugar, which we all know, but that's what we love. Yeah, we love that grease and we love that sugar. It gives us a feeling.
They call it the evil trinity: sugar, salt, and fat. That's what they call it.
There you go. Yeah,
it's evil for a reason. One of the things I wanted to bring out in your book, though, you talk about your relationship to food and mindfulness. And I've never heard about eating with mindfulness before like this. And I want it resonated with me because, mindfulness is, being totally present. What am I eating? Why am I eating this? Am I eating because of stress or depression? And really being in tune with why you're actually eating. And I'm really big on eating intentionally, for certain purposes. So I wanted you to speak a little bit about that mindfulness when you eat.
It's really simple. The concept is being very aware of what you're putting in your mouth. I mean, literally. So I'll start here. We live in the United States of America. We have first world problems. Our problem is, what am I going to eat today? While, we have 2/3 of the world who are trying to decide, am I going to eat? We're deciding, what am I going to do? Am I going to eat a sandwich? Am I going to have a salad? Am I going to have turkey, chicken, this breast, whatever, what carbs am I going to put in there? And to be very honest with you, eating less and being mindful about what I'm eating, what I want to eat. I want to eat everything that is going to be, that's going to break down and become energy for me. And we talk about mindful eating. So I want to eat, which is why I'm really big on the power greens, because I know that it's fiber rich, and I know that it's going to break down, and I'm going to use those nutrients to kind of build and not necessarily store. I don't want to eat stuff that my body's going to reject and say, we don't need this, so we're just going to store it. I'm 52 and I don't have a six-pack. Let's be clear. But I'm certainly not at the place that I was, say, maybe 5-6 years ago, where I look in the mirror now and I'm seeing I'm seeing cuts, and I'm like, this looks good. And I realize that if I'm eating very lean meats, well, at this point, I'm only eating fish, but I'm very careful. I'm even careful on so I'm very cautious about even bread, because bread, in essence, guys, it turns into sugar. All right. Most of your carbs are, sugar and fat. And so you do some research, and that's where that mindfulness, Dr. Q, comes in. It's like, just be intentional about what you're going to eat. All right, we're going to go to a restaurant tonight. What are we going to have? Is it going to be a cheat night, or are you going to be very mindful of what you're eating? So, of course, I'm not eating any chicken. And of course, chicken it's just everywhere. It's, so some people are kind of approaching it like, my options are very limited. And you are right. Your options do become limited when you are being mindful about what you're eating. So you're not eating fast food as often. You're preparing more of your meals, and you're being very intentional about mitigating that sugar, that fat, and that salt, as you said.
One of the things, sorry, go ahead. No, you mentioned like preparing your meals, and in the book you talk about meal prep.
Yeah.
And for me, that just seems like a lot of work. Like, thinking, planning ahead, and that's how. So if a guy's looking at this, like, I like this, I want to be more healthy, I want to make better healthy choices. I mean, the way you outlined it looked great. I mean, it looked great on paper.
It sounds good on paper.
But to actually like come up with a meal plan, come up with all the, go grocery shopping and actually prepare it. I mean, I know like bodybuilders, they'll like buy, chicken and broccoli and
they'll prep for the whole week.
They'll just do that the whole thing. But you were suggesting doing a variety, which is great to do a variety of things.
Yeah, because you get bored. It's not sustainable. It's not. Of course.
But how would someone start doing that? Because a lot of guys aren't confident in the kitchen either, preparing food. And so, how would you approach that person that says, where do I start?
I wouldn't start with meal prep. I would not. I would start with just decide what you're going to eat this week. For example, if you're one of those Subway guys, you're going to do some lean turkey, or you're going to do tuna, or you're even going to do something chicken. Go with the wheat bread. In other words, go with the lesser of the two evils, because we know that bread. Okay, guys. Yeah. I've been down that road before. Everybody's got it.
You can relate.
But yeah, I would start with, I wouldn't start with meal prepping. I would really just start with including more plant-based foods into your diet, just more plant-based and less, what is the word I'm looking for? Manufactured,
Processed.
processed foods. Thank you.
Mhm.
Like, again, because of the greatness of America, 90% of what we eat is processed. I mean, even look at your vegetarian substitutes, which,
Mhm.
you know, should be a bridge. You know, I believe everybody in the podcast has grown up in the Seventh-day Adventist, you know, culture. And of course, we've known about vegetarian diet, vegetarian lifestyle as long as we've, you know, been alive. But that's not necessarily, that's not what we should have been listening to, or that's not what we shouldn't have been taught. That we should have been taught, hey, make your food plant-based, because
Mm.
that's the way to go. The people who live the longest are plant-based.
Mhm.
They are exclusively plant-based, you know. So I
Yeah.
mean, I'm not a guru. These are just things that I've learned along the way. Just
No,
along.
you're right. You're right. I'm with you. Like, I want to get to where Columbus is, you know, but I think I'm transitioning with salmon as well. You know, like I'm just trying to maybe eat more fish, less red meat, because it's definitely not as good for you. All the studies point that way. Um, the one other point though on the food, and then we can get to the spiritual aspect as well. But you know, you talk about mindfulness also, as well as the knowing when you're hungry, because you know sometimes we eat fast, you know, and you know our eyes are bigger than our stomach. We overeat,
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
and I read somewhere, I think it was the what was that book that we read, Isaac, about the Japanese
The gaki,
yes, Ikigai, yes,
ikigai. Sorry.
Ikigai. And they were talking about, and these are the Japanese in the blue zone, that
Mhm.
they did not eat till they were stuffed. They ate until they were about, I want to say 80%
Yeah,
full.
Harry Hashipu.
Okay. And it's like, man, like to really be mindful and in tune to how full you are, you know, that takes some intentionality, and you really have to be really thinking about, I just don't want to eat to you know stuff myself. I want to
Mhm.
eat until I'm just comfortably full,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
how do you develop that skill, like to be able to do that?
It definitely comes over time. And let me tell you guys this, that I have adopted a one meal a day policy, because again, going back to the reality that we definitely eat more than we need to. Um, so I'm going to be very intentional talking about mindfulness. I'm going to eat one meal a day, but I'm going to pack it in. I'm definitely going to eat for taste, but I'm eating to live now. I'm not living to eat. And most
Mm,
of our lives, we've kind of just been living to eat. And we enjoy it because, you know, we are palatial. The taste, you know, we want things that are succulent. We want things that are, you know, that are fatty and that just taste really good. I eat one meal a day um, because I know that uh, I'm trying to mitigate those calories. I'm trying to bring those calories down. So if I'm eating a breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I tried it before, and I realized, I'm like, this is for the birds. Like, it doesn't take a rocket scientist to know that that's something that the FDA decided, and I don't believe in the Food and Drug Administration. I just don't, because they're putting things and allowing things in the supermarket that are literally killing us. All right.
So
And
yeah.
so when you say one meal a day, are you snacking before and after that, or are you doing intermittent fasting where you've got a clear start and stop?
there's one on Wednesday. I'm fasting. I'm fasting from wake up to about 5 p.m. And I'm going to, you know, eat at 5:30, 6 o'clock, but I'm going to eat something very healthy that's not going to weigh me down and make me feel like going to take a nap. Aaron, don't you even run? Yes, I do. I need you to go. I need you to go find mom.
Like, what do you do in between? Do you just drink lots of water? Because you know that. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Yes. And water is life's lubricant. I mean,
Hmm.
I've never been a soda kind of guy. Um, uh, I will have an alcoholic beverage. Like I just want to be very transparent because I want y'all to know, like, this is how I roll. But water, I'm drinking about a gallon a day or close to it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So,
Excellent.
and I'm not doing that to be deep. I'm doing that because I'm trying to mitigate that appetite and the desire to eat because I'm eating once a day. So if I'm going to eat at school, I'm definitely going to make sure it's going to be a salad with a protein, which is going to be my fish. But I've also fallen in love with trail mix. So we're talking about cashews, we're talking about almonds, we're talking about, and I've listened to you, and now I have some pistachios in the kitchen.
There you
for
go.
Got a listener.
Yeah, I'm rocking pistachios like
get that citrulline up. Yeah.
You know.
But snack with intentionality. Yes.
I do a lot of intermittent fasting. I did a lot last year, and I just started about 2 weeks ago. So today I'm doing it. So I started at 2. I'll stop at 8 o'clock. What I have learned is what you eat, right before 8 is still in your system most of the morning after. And so
absolutely
there's a transition period where you think you're hungry in the morning just because mentally that's breakfast, that's coffee, that's yogurt, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if you spend enough time thinking about it, you say, no. I've got fuel. It's really around 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock where you start saying, okay, now I'm low on energy.
Yeah.
But I can, and so I usually make it till about 2 on water, like you said. And then you eat. Well, I do 2 meals a day, so I'll eat at 2, I'll eat at 7, and then the hard part for me is just lifetime has just been backing off of those late night snacks.
Yeah.
So stopping at 8 is harder. Actually, stopping at 8 is harder than going all the way to 2 o'clock for me. And it's the late night snacks and the alcoholic beverages. A cognac in the evening is just there's nothing like it.
Yes, sir. Let me say this: my breakfast is 12 ounces of warm to almost hot water. That's breakfast. And I have found that in the morning you're actually dehydrated because your body's been doing so much recovery and healing and just I drink every morning before I go to work. I drink 8 to 12 ounces of warm water, and that's my breakfast.
Does that actually help your bowels move?
Oh, listen, I mean, okay, and so it's funny.
Let's just keep it real. Let's just talk about it.
No. I'm saying it's funny you mentioned that because I had my colonoscopy on Friday.
Good report.
And it was my first. But so considering that I drink a lot of water, they give you 2 6 ounces of its sodium, such and such something. I don't remember what it is, but it's of course designed to flush you all the way out. So that first bottle flushed me out completely. But they said the process is you have to drink both of them. So you drink one the night before, and then you drink the other one in the morning, the day of the procedure. So the doctor, long and short, said, sir, your colon looks fantastic. As I posted it on Friday, I said, listen, my colon is cleaner than yours. Like he hadn't seen a cleaner colon considering. Wow. And I attribute that to several factors. And I want to put them in this order: diet, rest, and exercise. Exercise is at the end of that, but it has more to do with pulling back on those meats. Not that I was really a big beef eater, but we've been hearing the story of beef and, the genetically modified. So I used to eat burgers, but I don't miss it. Like I'm looking at the supplements. I'm definitely into the Impossible, which is not the best stuff. The supplemental meat is not that great. It's high in sodium and it's got like 50 different ingredients. But the water is everything. Like, yeah.
Let me just say, this is the type of show where we hand clap a colonoscopy if a black man gets this colonoscopy, and we more often need to be bragging about a clean colonoscopy.
Listen,
yes, you got bragging rights.
Because of Q, I posted it. I let people know, and I told them there are 10 benefits of getting a colonoscopy. And the bottom line is we're talking about longevity. We're talking about living longer. and not living shorter. And these are a lot of the variables that are going through my mind when I think about what I'm eating, mindfulness, and when I'm exercising. So I get up at 5 in the morning and I go to the LA Fitness and I run 5 miles a day. I run 5 miles in the morning and knock it out. It's about 45 minutes. I get showered and I go to work. And when I do eat something snack wise, we're talking about maybe like a 8 to 12 ounce bag of trail mix. So I'm eating things that are plant based. All right, I'm getting my sugar fix in there because you got your raisins, you got cranberries, which these things are high in antioxidants as well. So, and guys, let me be full disclaimer. I will eat a piece of cake. I will eat some junk. Don't get me wrong.
You gotta live. You
gotta live. But these are things that I have learned along the way, and combining this mindfulness eating and regular exercise. We're talking about strength conditioning along with cardio. I'm in the best shape of my life. I'm literally in better shape than I was 20 years ago.
Wow. Let's go back to the eating junk just briefly, because you said some of us, we eat to medicate, and I thought that was a great phrase. But there's some benefit to that. Do you think it's okay to eat to medicate if you know your stopping point, and if you recognize that this is what's happening? And the reason why I ask that is a lot of us go through some mental health, some very minor mental health episodes. It might be a morning, it might be an evening, and you've got to have something that just gets you out of that. It might just be stopping and watching TV. It might be a glass of cognac. It might be that cake. Is there a scenario by which you can do that in a limited way, in and out, per se, for lack of a better word?
I would say yes, but you have to know thyself, like to thine own self be true. And there are some people who might listen to this podcast and they might say, Dave, Isaac, I don't have the discipline to say one glass is enough, or to say one slice is enough. There are some people out there who just don't have that discipline. They have not exercised that muscle. And so when they go to extreme and they eat the whole tub of ice cream, or they eat half of the cake, or they have 3 and 4, and then now they're in a stupor and they're sedated, like no pun intended. They are literally sedated, and it's impacting your decision making. That's on the extreme side. But you said, is there benefit? The short answer to that is 100%. I believe in balance.
I think that applies to all vices.
I gotta chime in.
Go ahead.
So there's several things when it comes to whether or not there's a benefit or not. We have to ask ourselves. So we understand that idea of stress is just so impactful and it's pervasive, and at least it's so much distraught continually. And we essentially boil down the concept of stress into its demands minus resources. And somehow you feel that you don't have the resources to deal with the persistent demands in that moment. And so many of us turn to other resources, whether or not that's food or it's alcohol or it's smoking, in the particular thing to get that sort of relief. And so what the studies have shown specifically with junk food is the fact that junk food that's eaten with stress begets further stress, right? And it actually does not, it's a fake resource. It makes you think you're putting a Band-Aid on it, but actually it triggers a worse effect that then snowballs because of the addictive nature of junk food that is specifically and intentionally crafted to make us to keep coming back for more.
Right.
And so the idea that someone has more will control than others, to your point, David, you're right, there are. But the reality of it is that if there's a chemical modification that's working in our brains, that's transitioning us towards going back for it. Because guess what? I may crave an apple, but I'm not going to go insane over an apple. But if I want that candy bar, that piece, that chip, that extra crunch that's there, that's been crafted for the crunch, for the salt, for the sugar, that refinement just right there that hits all the taste buds right there that you want to keep going back. That's really the reason why we can't, and we become addicted to it. So I think it's important for us to recognize that's why they flood this inside of neighborhoods where people look just like you and me.
Yeah.
That's why you see a preponderance that are there. When I grew up in Compton, California, that was all the way around. You didn't have grocery stores that had fresh fruits and vegetables in it. You would drive 25 miles away.
Food
You
desert.
had like liquor stores and everything else that were right there pervasive. And so the question is, why is that inside of areas where they're financially distraught? So I just wanted to make sure we're clear on that. No, none of us are perfect, but you do have to understand yourself. I'm a sugarholic. I know you don't leave me with a box of candy, with ice cream, with cake, because I may not chomp down the whole thing, but I may keep going back for slices and slices and slices, whether it's vegan or it's regular. So I don't go there. Why? Because at a certain point in life, you have to treat this like a prescription. And so you may not have an ailment right now. So maybe your prescription that you require may not be as high, but that dose is going to eventually be high in the future, that you're going to require more lifestyle to keep you from having an issue. So I have so many comments about what we've talked about so far.
I like that, Dr. Go ahead, Isaac. Go ahead.
I was saying that just the benefit of this forum is education like that on the addictive properties of certain things. I had no idea potato chips were addictive. I mean, chemically,
they tell you can't just eat one.
I know I keep going back, but they're designed that way, and I appreciate that.
No, they actually bring kids. They bring kids and they do a taste test to find out that, just like when you back in the day we used to make Kool-Aid, you could make the sweetness according to how much you like. They have studies looking at different genders, different racial groups to figure out which groups like what. And that's the same thing. So these taste tests that go through that help target and specifically find that bliss point, that certain connection that'll keep you coming back for more and not make you want to go away from it. Wow. Yeah. It's insane.
That is.
I gotta jump in and say this. So we're talking about foods and the effects, and you are absolutely. I think I'm a sugarholic as well. I think all of us are. We're secretly addicted to those things, and that's why we kind of lean towards those foods that are sweeter. You know, it's hard to remove sugar from your diet. It's very difficult. I don't think I've ever tried, but I do want to say, to your point, Baptiste. So running and exercise, I have found that not only does it improve my quality of life, but I believe that I'm adding years to my life for every mile that I run. So it's not just addictive, but I have found that I am healthier in that active lifestyle. So Dr. Q, when you say, hey man, I just, my shins, well, then maybe you should try something else that's going to keep you active. It might be the Peloton. It might be the stairs. You follow where I'm going? It might be, indoor rock climbing, just something that's getting your metabolism going, something that's getting you moving, getting you sweating, getting you to burn those calories to make you desire to eat more, as opposed to, well, it's 12 o'clock. So, hey, it's time to eat.
No, this is true. When you are exercising, you don't want to put junk into your body. You don't feel inclined to eat sweets after you just, sweated it out. I mean, some people
that's
do,
not true.
But I was gonna say some people look at it as a reward.
Not true for me.
I don't feel like that. I'm like, man, I put all this work.
Come on, Isaac. I want to hear what you got to say. You don't agree with that?
Oh, I have read studies that say that people that work out, after they work out, they feel like they've earned the right to eat however they want to eat. And I have slipped into that myself. You come home, grab a bag of chips, and
you've earned it.
Your mind is doing this weird calculation of, oh, this is fine because I just spent an hour in the gym. And it's not.
To that point, your mind, this is the part that's crazy when you start reading in the research on how they craft this food. They actually do it so you don't even perceive the calories. With the crunch factor, you don't perceive it with the combination of the oil. So you have no concept of it. Plays tricks on the brain. And then also because of it hitting the tongue, the rapid absorption of it, it makes it as powerful in some instances as like a cocaine, because it goes immediately to your brain.
No, you're right.
In terms of the
and
sugar.
Endorphins go on. Yes.
You know,
there have been days, guys, where I've done a long run and I feel like, I've earned, like say last year, I've earned the burger, the fries, and the, premium beverage, so to speak. But there are also times where I run, and so there are degrees of it, basically. So there are some people who work out and they feel like, yeah, I've earned it. But you're not going to see the same results, though, Isaac, when you turn around and grab those chips because you went to the gym for an hour. It's kind of like the guy who goes 3 times a day. Not 3 times a day. He goes to the gym 3 times a week and feels like he's doing something, and then he's lethargic or he's sedentary those other days. He's doing himself more of a disservice than being consistent. You hear what I'm saying? So the guy who goes 3 times a day, 3 times a week for an hour, is not getting the benefits as the guy who goes 30 minutes every day for a week.
In other words, you're investing your money, then you're going out and buying your significant other that Louis Vuitton.
That's exactly it.
Yeah.
You know, you buying those bags, and you're out there buying the Tesla, and you're like, I'm not making
net zero.
money.
It makes no sense to me. It makes no sense to put in all that work and negate it with a bag of chips.
That part. Oh man.
So, but
I gotta gotta go back to the mental health thing real quick, because I brought it up and I don't feel like I feel like we left it hanging.
Yeah,
if you are experiencing just these light episodes of depression or loneliness, I think what we've learned here today is whatever you grab, let's say whatever you grab, the bag of chips, the alcohol, the lady, whatever your vice is, I think what we've learned here is that's temporary. That is temporary, and it could be addictive. It is not the solution. You're going to have to spend some more time with that feeling and those emotions and what's causing it. All you feel better, but that is not fixing anything.
No, and I think that's a great point. I do want to, because that dovetails into the third aspect of your book, as far as the spirituality aspect. Yes. So this I think is beautiful, because it talks about how, and you're not talking about spirituality as far as religion is concerned. You're just talking about being in tune with oneself, also being in tune with our higher power, God, and talk about that in mental health and how that actually has been shown to improve mental health, to have some sense of spirituality.
So my approach to the spiritual component, the pray component of Eat, Pray, Run, is acknowledging that you are not here by accident. You are not here by chance, that there is a divine creator who set this all up. And to your point, I was intentional not to be denominational or too overly spiritual, because I wanted to be very broad, and I wanted people to find some kind of resolution in this. In other words, the person who doesn't go to church, like, so what do you mean pray? Like, to the unchurched, that sounds foreign. Like, pray to who? There are a lot of people who don't believe in God, but I promote the idea that we are a divine creation. We're created beings, and I'm not ashamed to say that, my life has changed because of my relationship with my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So because of my spiritual connection with God and my daily devotion in spirituality and connection with my higher power, that definitely improves my quality of life. And I'm very general in that, without going too far to the left or too far to the right, for obvious reasons, because there are people who are going to pick this up who are unchurched.
I love it. So, you don't know, but we, Q and Isaac know. So my book is finally at the end stage, and so you touch on 3 main components of my pillars of my book. Selfish.
Wow.
And so, in terms of the spirituality, the eating, and then the exercise or the running, as you put it. And so I even take another step. So when we look at the spirituality and look at praying, but also the concept of meditating, right? Which with that imbues is a focus. And what studies have shown is that it enriches and it thickens the prefrontal cortex, which is where we reason.
Come on.
And so as it thickens that prefrontal cortex, now we're able to process like our plans that we have, that God has for us, that we have, that we're laying out, and implement those. Now, what's interesting is I recently read this, learned about this area called the anterior mid cingulate cortex. And so it's found to be very small in obese individuals and individuals. And this is not a slight on obese individuals. There's lots of reasons for it, but individuals who don't do the hard things in life. But as we go and we try and do, you run and you're pushing yourself to do things that you otherwise don't want to do, they find that this area increases, it thickens, and it's also associated with longevity. And so we know that we're built and we're made by these struggles that we go through in life. And so the science behind like the concept of the bridge between spirituality and about going beyond ourselves, it's so deep, and we're learning more and more through functional MRIs, magnetic resonance imaging systems that are here, and the neuropsychologists. It's so powerful. So bravo. I'm glad that you wrote about this and you touched on it too as well. It's huge. It's so important.
Thank you.
I appreciate that. Spirituality, I think when we talk about coping in dealing with stress, I mean, my faith has helped me tremendously in that regard. And if you are less stressed, obviously you're less likely to stress eat or eat because you're depressed or whatnot. So a lot of people find their faith as a stress reliever. And that's what you mentioned in the book as well. We're almost done, or at our end. I want to touch on one last point, because you ended the book with a chapter entitled Love and Work. And I thought that was interesting because you talk about work-life balance, but you didn't say work-life balance. You said love and work. And I think that was intentional, that you said it that way. And for us, guys that are trying to, we're trying to do all these things. We have all these goals that we're trying to achieve. We're trying to, write books and exercise and do all these things.
Maintain healthy relationships. Yeah.
But that's the other half of this. Like, first of all, love yourself, right? Love yourself in order to treat yourself well and do self-care, like we talked about, eat well, put good things into your body, de-stress, have some mindfulness, have spirituality, but also there's a community. You're in community and you're in relationships with people. So talk about that and why you decided to put that in here.
Listen, this is bigger than all of us. So full disclosure, I've been married twice. I'm in my second marriage, and marriage is work. I'm going to start there. Yes. Marriage is work. And so balancing relationship with your spouse or your significant other, children, work, being the provider, being the caregiver, and showing up and being present. These are things that they are challenging. And there are days where life is heavier than lighter. And I have found that the exercising and the keeping that active lifestyle, it helps mitigate, as Dr. Betsy said, it definitely brings some of those stress levels down. So, I mean, I run on average between an 8-minute and 9-minute mile. So my blood pressure is very regulated. I don't do it because of the other, but I got my blood pressure tested and I was something along 180 over 70.
118?
180 or 18.
Yeah, it was 118 over 70. Okay. Yeah. And the doctor was like, you're what do you do? And I said, oh, well, I'm a running enthusiast. And he said, well, keep it up, and I mean, he asked about my diet and whatnot. But I'm simply saying that the exercise component, in other words, you got to find a balance. You got to find an outlet. You can't just go to the food. You can't just go to the person. You almost have to do a self revelation. You kind of got to get to know yourself. And I think in the last 2 to 3 years, I've gotten to know myself and fallen in love. I shouldn't say fallen in love. I'm loving myself better now than I ever have.
Mm.
And I thought that, listen to me, guys, I thought that that was something that I was supposed to find in someone else, i.e. my spouse.
Mm-hmm.
But I have learned in recent times, and it's in some instances, Isaac, it's been a painful reality that you have to love yourself first.
Oh, you just opened up a can there. We don't.
This is a whole nother.
We don't have time. We don't have time. You say this 55 minutes into our conversation.
This is just like a patient coming inside the office. By the way, doctor, I've been having chest pain, crushing chest pain for the past 24 hours.
Woo, man, you said a word.
That's a whole book. But I will say, because we're running out of time, I have learned the exact same thing, and I learned it way too late.
Well, you know what? Better late than never, brother.
True.
Right.
True.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. I was excited. I didn't know who was going to be on the podcast. I was hoping you would be, Isaac, just because I hadn't seen you in who knows how many years.
Yeah.
But I'm at a place in my life where life has more meaning to me now, and it's not the meaning. It's not what I thought. It's not what I thought. I thought that it was going to be in the relationships and in my children, and those things are amazing. Those are fantastic. But if I don't have that internal, intrinsic, in other words, I have to be happy with myself. And of course, don't let the smooth taste fool you. We all put on the visage. You know, we can get the haircut, we can trim up the beard, we can look a certain way, but that doesn't mean internally that we look the same way that on the outside that we feel on the inside. And those were one of the things that helped me write Eat, Pray, Run, was the understanding that, you know what, there's more to life, but the beginning is first finding that self-love, which is because I love myself. I'm getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning to go for a run. Like I have nothing to prove to anybody. I do it for me. I'm not doing it for my spouse. I'm doing it because I'm learning to love and treat me the way that I deserve. And these are things that we were not taught. Let's be clear. We weren't taught any. That's why when you said I learned it late, brother, welcome. We welcome each other to the club.
Yes.
You know?
Yes.
These are things I'm just like, go ahead, Doc.
No, that's so key. And you know, healthy swag, if you break it down, is heal thy swag. And a lot of this is, you know, us just having conversations about how we can do better as men, taking care of ourselves. And what you said is so important. If you love, or you take care of what you love, you know, and if we love ourselves, we'll watch what we eat, how we exercise, our spiritual health, our mental health. We'll check in all these boxes if we value our health. And that's why I wanted to have you on the program, because I mean, that just falls in line with everything that we're talking about. And, you know, you have to start somewhere, you know, so in closing, because we're almost about to run out of time, just like a take home message that you want someone who has already failed their New Year's resolution, but wants to eat right, wants to exercise, wants to have a better spiritual life. Where do they start? How do we just get started?
How do you get started? Listen, forget the resolutions. Forget resolutions. Okay. Hard work and discipline. Well, hard work beats talent. Okay. Let's start right there. All right. Our good friend, Dr. Eric Thomas, he's one of the hardest working guys in show business. And it's not so much that he had the talent, but the talent was developed over time. And so what I want to say to anybody who's listening, where do you start? Decide today that you're going to be more active. Okay. You're going to, so I talk about running, but I believe that it's about being mindful about exercising. So we're talking about moving from a sedentary lifestyle to an active lifestyle. So that means decide today that you're going to get at least 30 minutes in of maybe a walk or a jog, or you're going to hit the gym, you're going to do some kind of strength conditioning, make that commitment. Whether you are 21 or 51, make the commitment to be more active. Make the commitment to eat less. I'm not even going to say.
We're about 15 seconds left. Yeah, we're about to.
Okay.
Start somewhere. And just
Here we go. Eat less, pray more, run or exercise often. That's it.
All right. Oh man.
Thanks, guys.
Actually, I still have time left. So
I gotta go.
Okay.
My father turned 80 today. We're doing a little Zoom starting
Awesome,
right now.
awesome.
I got you.
See you
Well,
guys.
very good, man.
Yeah, good to see you.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
All right. Just one. I heard something today that really like resonated with me for those who are having trouble getting started. Just give 2 minutes to whatever it is. You can do anything for 2 minutes.
Sure.
You know. So if it's just walking for 2 minutes, if it's I've been procrastinating and writing this book, let me just write for 2 minutes. You can do anything for 2 minutes. And once you get started, you know, you have the option to stop if you want. But oftentimes it's just getting started, getting that momentum going, and then you just never know where that can take you. So just wanted to add that.
No, I agree. 2 minutes is a long time if you're doing a plank. I just throw that out there.
Right.
You know, but no, you're speaking truth. You can do anything for 2 minutes. But again, I think that the way to start out is to start slow. And I tell a lot of my friends who are like, hey, how did you get to 10 and 12 and 15 miles? 1 mile at a time. How do you eat an elephant? 1 bite at a time. Of course, you know, I'm a vegetarian, so I'm not chewing on it. But one bite at a time, like slow and steady. Yeah, it's more about discipline than motivation, because you're not going to be motivated every day. There are some days you don't feel like doing it. You know, there are mornings that I don't feel like getting up. There are. Man,
we gotta have you back talking about that last bit of loving thyself.
Not
finding that in a spouse.
We didn't do it justice. We didn't do it.
Lots of good stuff. We could have gone for a long time.